I'm going to give you all an update of what took place yesterday and where we are today. As of right now, we're still like 6,500 people out of power, mostly in Opelousas area, around Opelousas. I did speak with Cleco just a while ago, and they picked up another 1,000 people today, so that's back on power, and they expect everything to move forward from this point. We are actively removing trees every day. And I think this will go on until at least Saturday. And that's just cutting and pushing. That's just putting the trees to the side so we can have emergency vehicles pass and the people can get back to their house. Anybody that's having any issues with that, y'all please let us know so we can go back. But I think we pretty much got a good handle on that part of the issue. We do have Doug Kramer from the National Weather Service who's going to give us his update of what his findings are from today. And again, that's that goose. That thing there, y'all just don't know what this thing does, this TV.
You are.
So Doug's going to come up here and talk to us and let us know what he found for the day. We did have a meeting this morning before he went out, and I'm happy that Doug and them came into the parish so they can maybe make us understand a little bit better what took place yesterday. We were here, we saw it, everybody that saw it understood what was going on at the time, but not really because it's so widespread. So, Doug, if you want to come up and say what you need to say, I appreciate it.
Thank you, President. Doug Kramer, National Weather Service, Warning Coordination Meteorologist. That's DOUGCRAMER. And so I'll just go ahead and begin. Several days ago, going back to last week, we started seeing the potential for severe weather across much of southeast Texas and into South Louisiana. And we began communicating with our communities, our emergency management directors, and our school districts and a lot of our core partners regarding this potential. Unfortunately, this time it did come to fruition. We had several storms that developed out of ahead of a main squall line that produced severe weather all across Texas and much of Louisiana. We had a lot of flooding in far southeast Texas where we had a lot of evacuations. But that same storm system eventually did make its way into the Acadia inner region. And unfortunately for St. Landry Parish, we think this area experienced some of the worst damage that we've seen. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say we've got tens of thousands of trees that have been damaged across this parish. We've confirmed that we have had 2 tornadoes in St. Landry Parish. Fortunately, these tornadoes were small. So we're talking low-end EF1 tornadoes. We found one, confirmed one north of the community of Washington. And we just completed another survey just north of Port Barre, right along Highway 103, where we found some more tornado damage up in that area. It's a concentrated area of tree damage. And fortunately with that one, there was no structure damage. There was a little bit of structure damage with the one up north of Washington, where there was some minor damage to some roofs, and then there was a carport that was destroyed up there. Yeah, a lot of utility poles that have been damaged. And right along, I believe it's that Highway 10 up there, right along Highway 10, we did have about 10 utility poles that were taken out by that Washington tornado up there. So that, and the distances, we're talking very small links on these tornadoes. The Washington tornado, that was generated from a different storm, believe it or not. We had a supercell thunderstorm that came across St. Landry Parish ahead of the main squall line. So that tornado was actually produced by the supercell. The tornado that we discovered north of Port Barre, that one was generated from the squall line. Any questions?
Did this exceed your expectations?
No, we were forecasting the potential for EF2 or greater tornadoes across much of South Louisiana and southeast Texas. And as a matter of fact, we did confirm, yesterday we confirmed 2 EF2 tornadoes, one in Lake Charles, believe it or not. We had an EF2 tornado in Lake Charles that started on the eastern edge of McNeese State University and then eventually tracked into a neighborhood. And then we had a second EF2 tornado in Port Arthur, Texas, That also tracked through a neighborhood. And so fortunately, with either one of those, I think maybe we only had about one injury with those tornadoes. So they were very well warned on. We had a lot of lead time on these tornado warnings, including the tornadoes that we had here in St. Landry Parish. We had a couple of different tornado warnings for this parish, and each one of those tornado warnings, we did have a tornado with them. So very, very well forecasted event as far as the National Weather Service goes, and very well warned on.
What were the peak winds through St. Landry Parish through this area?
Yeah, I think with the tornadoes, we're going to go about 95 miles per hour with the tornado north of Washington. With the tornado north of Port Barre, we're going max sustained winds of 90 miles per hour with that one. Now, let's talk about the other factor with this. With the squall line that bowed out right over St. Landry Parish, it's quite possible that we had 80 plus mile per hour widespread winds across the parish. And that's why we have all of this widespread damage to trees and power lines across the parish. So the majority of the damage came from the squall line, from damaging straight line winds, probably 80 to 90 mile per hour.
Was there evidence of hail, anything like that?
I have not seen any evidence of hail, but that doesn't necessarily mean it didn't happen. I would venture to say with the supercell that developed out of the head of the squall line, there was probably hail with that. Based off of what we were seeing on radar with that thunderstorm. We issued the tornado warning with that thunderstorm. It had a very large updraft with it and likely some pretty good sized hail up there. Fortunately, with that supercell, we think that it mainly impacted a very sparsely populated area in the central and then the eastern part of the parish. So if there was hail, it likely would not have impacted a very dense population.
About where did the damage start in, say, St. Landry, Acadia parishes?
Oh, I bet the damage likely started all the way back into southeast Texas with this line of thunderstorms. So the same line of thunderstorms that produced the tornado in Port Arthur is the exact same line that came right through St. Landry. So there's damage all the way back into southeast Texas.
All through the parish, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, besides St. Landry and Acadia, were there any other places around Acadiana to receive any damage, or was it just here in St.
So
Landry?
Jeff Davis, if you all consider Jeff Davis part of Acadiana, a lot of damage in Jeff Davis, a lot of damage in Acadia, and then obviously a lot of damage here in St. Landry. But then we also got to think about the communities east of here. There was a lot of damage east of here into parts of, I think it's out of my area, but I think it's called Point Cupid or St. Cupid. Yeah, some of those parishes east of here. There's a lot of damage.
As far as federal help, I'm guessing that's why y'all are here, to assess the damage and see what the federal government will be able to do.
Well, anytime we have severe weather and we've got damage, the National Weather Service is going to go take a look at it because we want to make sure we understand what happened, and then we're going to document that throughout history. It's going to be documented. We've been doing this for decades. And the reason why we do that is because it helps us get better into the future. So if we can correlate radar and then what happened underneath those thunderstorms, then we learn from that. And we're going to get better with our warnings in the future. So that's why we do thorough documentation whenever we have wind damage or tornado damage or whatever phenomena it may be.